squatting is impacting America in that it's causing property to be damaged. It's causing property to be wasted in how it's being used. It's increasing the amount of legal proceedings that are being commenced, which is time and energy of government resources. Squatting is an unlawful possession of a premises. We kind of see it in two situations. One is typically in a foreclosure aspect where people are coming into an abandoned property, or if they know that an owner or a landlord has abandoned a property, they come in and they take over possession of a property. And then the second way that we're seeing it is when people are taking on other people's identity, and they're using sort of fraud to lease out an apartment or a home, and they pay their first month's security and first month's rent, and then they completely stop paying after that. And now a landlord is stuck with someone in possession of their property who they thought they were entering into with one person, and it actually turned out to be another.
I have every right to be in the house at all. You do not. You do not. Because according to my lease, me and my girlfriend owns the house. So I don't know what you need to take up with the police, whatever the case may be.
I own the house.
But yeah.
You don't know the law. Yeah, there's laws. You shouldn't be trying to steal my house. Yes, you are.
You don't.
How about that? A squatter standoff. A property owner confronts a group of people she says moved into her $1 million home in Queens, and our cameras were rolling as dozens of officers showed up.
Several people were taken away in handcuffs, and one of those arrested may surprise you.
Well, this is a very big growing problem. I received dozens of tips from viewers about this in just the past week. I went to do what I thought was going to be a routine interview. Instead, we capture what police and property owners are dealing with on a daily basis.
I have video of you.
Who are these people?
Figure out the situation.
Yeah, but they're in my house, man.
Relax.
No.
To understand how this day ended,
We need the police right away.
with multiple 911 calls and arrests, we have to start at the beginning.
Adele, the hardest question is, how do you say your name?
We met Adele Andaloro outside the home her parents left her in Flushing, Queens. She's in the process of selling it.
No, he locked it.
But she's been locked out. She claims squatters moved in on February 6 and refused to leave.
What's it like being here knowing you can't go inside of your own home?
It's enraging. It really is.
In New York, squatters have rights after 30 days.
By the time that someone does their investigation and they do their work and their job, we'll be well over the 30 days, and this man will have stolen my home. And now she's back.
Just after wrapping up our interview, a woman showed up.
What are you doing in the house? Are you renting this house?
I'm not renting.
Why are you here?
She unlocked the front door, saw our cameras, and took off.
It's open. Let's go in the house. It's open.
Adele and her daughter, with the property deed in hand, went inside.
This is my furniture. These are my curtains.
She didn't just find her belongings inside.
There's a man sleeping right there. Get out of my house.
She found two men.
How long have you lived here?
I moved in about 2 days ago.
They've called the police on me, and I've called the locksmith. I didn't come in illegally. The door was open.
Police started interviewing neighbors and looking for documents.
Do you have something that shows that you've been here for more than 30 days?
They took the man who told me he had been renting for 2 days out in handcuffs.
They got one out.
And escorted the other guy off the property.
Now you're afraid to come out.
I'm not coming out. This house is empty. This is my home. My locksmith is on the corner waiting to change my locks. And it's not fair. It's not fair that I, as the homeowner, should be having to go through this.
How you doing?
Minutes later, a locksmith showed up. But police gave her a warning before they left.
I may end up in handcuffs today if this man shows up here and says that I have illegally evicted him. I said to them, let him take me to court the way I've been told to take him to court. But today, I'm not leaving my house.
Less than 10 minutes after police left and the locks were changed.
That's not going on.
The man who claims to be the one actually leasing the house shows up.
Call the police again.
With the other guy, police took off the property.
Do you see this? This guy just literally broke down my door, broke through myself and my daughter to get in here. This guy just forced himself into my house.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
No, he did
And
not.
so did you.
Ma'am.
You broke through the front door.
Officer.
The man called the police on her.
So why is it that I have to leave and he doesn't have to leave?
Because technically he can't be kicked out. We need to go to court.
They consider this a landlord-tenant issue. And by law, it has to be handled through the housing court, not with police.
If you own this house, you would not want her inside.
I don't own the house. I don't own this.
Exactly,
Yes.
she does.
Yes, but then once again, you should know how the law works.
I do know how it works.
There's rules to the as you got to go to court and send me to civil court.
He says he signed a lease in October, but wouldn't tell us with who.
I got proof longer than that.
Show us the proof.
But who are you for me to show? I showed it to cops.
Dan with Channel 7 News. If you don't want to show it, you don't want to show it.
Cool. Come here, brother. I like that.
I would like to see it.
He didn't show me a lease.
This is a bill.
A bill for work he says he had done to the house. He didn't show police a lease either.
The police department doesn't have the lease?
No.
He's got no documentation.
Just bills.
So Adele, you're getting arrested right now?
I'm being arrested.
For what?
For being
in my own home.
And where's your lease?
She's fighting the house. It's not her house anymore.
My deed is current and legal.
Arrested for unlawful eviction. She changed the locks on a man who claims he lives there.
So how does this all end then? When do you leave?
The way it ends is either she pays me my money that I put into the house, pay me the money, and I'll leave, or send me to court, and we deal with the judge in court. It's that simple.
It's not that simple. It's a long process. Eviction can take close to 2 years to complete.
Squatters have turned a mansion into a party house. Police have tried and failed to shut down that party mansion since it started in October, but the hosts claim they are valid tenants.
Loud parties, blaring music, and people coming and going at all hours of the night.
3:30 in the morning.
Blocking the small, narrow streets up in this Beverly Crest neighborhood.
A lot of shouting and laughing and drunkenness.
Neighbors say some squatters moved into this mansion located on Beverly Grove Place in October and have now been wreaking havoc on their community ever since.
They have parties that have gone from 2 in the morning till 9 the next day, even 10 o'clock the next morning.
Neighbors say the cops are often called to the home.
They're trespassing in our neighborhood, and they're bringing people that come up drunk 2 in the morning, and they'll just show up by the hundreds. And that street over there will be full of cars.
John Woodward IV is the listing broker on the property.
I was selling this house, and I came up here when the pool man called me, and he said, people are moving in. Do you still need me?
Woodward says he came up to the property to find that the locks and gate code had been changed and people illegally living in the home. He says he called the cops, who arrived and spoke to the people inside.
They came up with a fake lease and said that they've leased the property. I said, no, you didn't. I'm the broker. And ever since then, they have lived in the property, and the court won't cut off the utilities because they say squatters have rights.
The homeowner told me that it's absolutely pathetic that these squatters seem to have more legal rights than he has. He says they broke into his home last week, changed the locks, and then showed police a phony lease.
Basically, these people came in Friday, broke in my house, had a U-Haul, moved all this stuff in.
Paul Callan says he was away caring for his sick wife when he swung by his vacant rental house. He discovered it was no longer vacant. He says at least 3 people are now living here illegally.
This is probably not the first time they've done this.
He told me he inherited the house from his beloved father, who died of cancer 3 years ago. He spent thousands renovating the house himself as a rental property for government-subsidized tenants. He put this ad online and is convinced that's how the squatters learned the property was vacant.
You didn't sign any lease with them.
No, and they had it on their phone, so she didn't even have like a actual lease
document.
Yeah, it was clearly like fake.
He called police and filed a complaint alleging use of a fraudulent lease, but police told him there was little they could do. In Georgia, police can't remove squatters. It's a civil matter.
So they're in here?
Yeah, they are in there.
No one came to the door. Later, I tried to speak with 2 men going into the house. They didn't have much to say.
So I spoke to the owner. He says that you moved in here illegally. You have no lease. You changed the locks, you broke in, and you have no lease. Do you have any comment about that? Do you have any comment? He says you're trespassing in his house.
Jesus is coming soon.
There shouldn't be a problem. And it becomes a nightmare. A total nightmare.
Buying a dream home turned into a nightmare. You heard him, for this family from Queens. The house came with something the new owners did not bargain for. A squatter. More than 4 months after purchasing that home, the family says they still can't go inside, and they've faced roadblock after roadblock trying to get the man who is staying there out.
It has just taken over everything.
Susanna and Joseph Landa bought what they thought was their dream retirement home in Douglaston, Queens.
We're looking to hopefully retire, and most of all, provide for my son, Alex, who has Down syndrome. He has a disability.
The new house is right next door to family members.
I just want to know that I can die tomorrow when he's next to his brother.
They signed the deed back in October. And then what happens?
The nightmares begins.
The house came with something unexpected. A man living in their home who they say refuses to leave.
We couldn't believe it. We could not believe it.
His name's Brett Flores.
They cannot come here early when I'm not here. They have keys. They're the owner.
This is what happened when the Landas tried to enter with an insurance inspector. They say Flores called the cops on them, even though they say they gave him 10-day notice. He wasn't a renter.
Never.
You didn't sign documents that said, we have a tenant.
Correct.
Court documents detail in Flores' own words why he's there. A signed statement says he was hired by the former homeowner as his caretaker, was paid $3,000 a week, and his employment ended in January of last year when the man died. He claims he has a license to stay in the house from the previous owner. What a lot of people don't realize is in New York, squatters have rights after 30 days.
30 days. How can you have rights if you have no lease, you're not paying rent? So what is your right?
Not only has Flores been living there, they claim he listed the home online to rent rooms to other people. The only way to try and get him out? They're taking him to landlord-tenant court, trying to get him evicted.
We have had already 5 hearings at civil court.
He shows up, no attorney.
If it's not one excuse, is another excuse.
He filed the bankruptcy. So that prevents everything from going forward.
Meanwhile, they've been paying all the bills.
Leaving windows wide open 24 hours.
Including thousands of dollars in utilities.
It makes me feel completely forgotten in the legal system. Not able to do anything.
As for Flores, no one answered the door. He did answer the phone.
I'm doing my best to try to get your side of the story, so you're telling me to call your attorney?
An attorney who told me
you're going to settle it through the court system.
No comment.
Think bizarre. Then take it up a few notches.
Okay.
This involves a legitimate homeowner, a home for sale, a convicted child sex trafficker. Guess who had the upper hand?
This is my home, and there's somebody in there, an intruder in there, intruders, who I do not know.
This wooded corner lot in Tucker was for sale, posted as plain as day online, for sale, not for rent. On closing day, homeowner Ronan McCabe discovered people, strangers, had moved in and changed the locks.
They broke into my house and moved in. All the locks had been changed.
Friday, October 20th, Mr. McCabe called Gwinnett County Police. The home had been empty for just a few weeks before it was filled with a stranger's furniture. He says the couple inside told police they had a lease.
They have no contract, no agreement with me. Gwinnett County Police are saying that there's nothing that they can do.
He was told to go to magistrate court the following Monday and file a dispossessory notice, which means going through a lengthy evictions process and a backed-up court system to get his own house back. That same day, the man in the house, calling himself Raymond Cortez, texted that he would leave, but for a price.
David, that's a shakedown. That's a shakedown. Are you kidding me? They want me to pay them to leave my home. That's scandalous.
Frustrated and distressed as he now had his house sale on hold, Ronan McCabe called the Fox 5 I-team. We met him there, triggering the man from inside the house to text him again.
I'm calling the cops. I am with my attorney now drafting up a lawsuit.
The house squatter told police earlier that he was a member of the Sovereign Citizens Movement. They don't believe in government, identification, taxes, things like that. But he sure didn't mind calling the authorities to help him stay in a home he didn't own. The Gwinnett PD's third trip was different. Things changed very fast. A woman who told police she was his wife abruptly left. He came out, went back in. Suddenly, U.S. Marshals started flooding the street. It seems they had a parallel investigation. He was a wanted man. After busting down the door and sliding him across a floor covered in water and soap, meant to trip up police, they had him. Ramon Fuertes III. Police and court documents show he's a convicted federal felon with tattoos called Pimpin' and used an email address called YoungPimpin86. He'd been in federal prison for child sex trafficking, accused of prostituting a young teen he called Lollipop. Fuertes was wanted for failing to register as a sex offender after his release. Finally over, right? Nope. The female was back in the home. She hadn't been arrested for anything.
I'm asking her to move her stuff out today.
You can ask, but it might not pan out.
The homeowner would be right back where he started. She would need to be evicted. But finally, some good luck. Ronan McCabe got a break, and she was persuaded to go.
It's cost.
This Irishman has been in the United States since the 90s, and he will tell you he loves this country, but finds the rights of squatters simply baffling.
America is a fantastic country, and I never, ever, ever thought something like this would happen in America, right? A man's home is his castle.
So finally, after this third time, Gwinnett County Police told her if she did not leave, she would be charged with criminal trespass, so she left. She was never charged, though, with moving into a stranger's home, refusing to leave. In fact, she got several hours to get her things out. The house was ultimately sold a few days later, and Mr. McCabe, I want to add, is a U.S. citizen now.
Whew, wow.
Meet the squatter hunter.
What do you have to say for yourself? You going to talk to me now?
Night you want to talk?
Yeah,
have a civil conversation?
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock in the night? Are you serious?
Caught in the act, caught on camera, squeezing out squatters.
I have a lease for this property.
I don't care.
You've heard and seen the horror stories, many here on KTLA. Intruders gaining entry or breaking into unoccupied homes and residences, in some cases mansions, throwing wild parties and living rent and care free. The number of cases seems to be growing, and one man close to the situation says many offenders are not necessarily homeless, but rather career criminals looking for easy street. Well, now they've met their match.
I'd say, anti-squatter activist, squatter hunter, squatter remover, just do what I have to help people get their squatters out.
Some people might call you a type of exterminator.
Yeah, well.
57-year-old California native Flash Shelton is devoting his life to squashing squatters and helping homeowners. It all started in 2019 when his mother was selling her Northern California house after his father died. While the home was empty and on the market, 7 strangers moved in, furniture and all. Local law enforcement said there was nothing they could do. That's when Flash sprang into action.
The stuff is in the house. You told me that it was accidentally delivered and it was in the garage.
No, I didn't say it was in the garage.
Figured out that if they could take a home, I could take a home. Squatters sometimes, in many cases, have a fake lease. So the first thing I did was I had my mom write a lease in my name.
He waited for an open window, no pun intended, when the squatters had left the property.
Went in and put up cameras, secured the back door that had been broken into. I have to start putting stuff in the driveway and so that I can lock it up, because once I leave, you're not going to be able to get back in.
Shelton seized an opportunity, found a new calling, and became the squatter hunter. His operation has exploded with viral videos on his website and YouTube channel, the clips receiving millions and millions of views.
You ain't going to be sneaking up on me in the middle of the night, you
Flash Shelton's fees start at $5,000. He always works with law enforcement, and he does his homework to assess the threat before moving in. For more information on the squatter hunter and efforts to change squatters' rights laws, go to our website, ktla.com.
A property management group is partnering with local law enforcement to fight squatting across the metro Atlanta area.
Now, as lawmakers fight to finally make it clear that squatting is illegal, a national property management group is taking up the fight themselves.
And Atlanta has been described as, honestly, it's been described as a hotbed for trespasser activity.
Alex Horwitz with First Key Homes says they recently partnered with several metro Atlanta law enforcement agencies to evict squatters quicker using intruder affidavits.
We're also doing frequent inspections of vacant homes. We've done a lot around smart technology, installing smart locks and other security measures.
Through the partnership that just began several months ago, he says they have cut down on squatting by 50% in their homes located in and around Atlanta.
Florida lawmakers have now passed a bill to make it easier to get rid of squatters. It's House Bill 621. It authorizes property owners to request action by the sheriff's office to immediately remove them from your home. The bill passed the Florida Senate last week.
Kujichagulia,